What's up, guys? Thanks for stopping back in. Today is the Oregon Purdue preview video. Um, this video is probably not going to last very long. Probably going to be another video similar to the Maryland preview game. Um, Not a lot to say about Oregon except they're bad. So hopefully this outcome looks a lot like the Maryland game did. Yeah, I guess let's just kind of dive right into it. Oregon is struggling, and part of it is because of injury, but I don't know how much of that would change, even if they had these players back. Nate Biddle definitely was a factor for them. He averaged 16.3 points, 6.7 rebounds, also 2.3 blocks. Was definitely their go-to guy, and along with Jackson Shellstat, who last year we know was a bucket in the Big Ten, and last year they were a decent team. They were a team that you had to go and play good against, where they would get you, but not the case this year. Currently, they are 8-14. They are tied for last in the Big Ten. They have them and Maryland combined for 2 conference wins right now. So, if that says anything, it says that they're bad, right? Um, and part of it has to do with I just don't think some of these players are capable to do some of the things that you need to do to win a game collectively, and part of it also to me has to do with their offense. Their offense is not. If you watch it a lot, similar to what I had said for Maryland, is it doesn't look like they run much sets. A lot of what comes from Kwame Evans, like ISO plays, or just trying to get somebody else, get himself open, and then if he gets stopped, then it gets swung to somebody else. Kwame Evans right now is pretty well their whole team. I believe he plays their 4. He's averaging 13.6 points, 7.2 rebounds. Also leads in assists with 2.2, 1 steal, and 1.3. Literally, if you look him up on ESPN, you look up the Ducks, he literally averages, like, he's the leader of all their stats that I've got pulled up. And yeah, I think he's a solid player. He's definitely a good player. Let me see what I had. He had a really good game. Oh, where'd he go? I have it right down. Yeah, 18 points against Iowa, 24 against UCLA, 18 against Michigan, 23 against USC. He's a capable player. He's definitely their best player by far, and I think this is one of those games and he is 6'10", 220, so he's on the bigger side. He will probably be Clough's matchup, and I think it is a game that if Clough plays the way that he has been, that Kwame Evans can have a game, go off and have another 20-point game, 6-8 rebounds, and that's just not something that we're looking for right now. Especially, coming off the way that Clough has played, we really want to see him take this jump, get back to his rebounding the way he had been earlier in the season. I think I mentioned it in the last video. The last 6 games, he's only had 2 games, 6 rebounds. Everything else was like 4-3, 4 or 3. And that's just not what we can have from him right now. We really need him to be rebounding. Takes a little pressure off of TKR, but TKR needs to continue to rebound. But if Oscar's going out and doing that job, it allows TKR to score a little bit more as well. Yeah, like I said, they've struggled with injury. Devin Pryor has been he's been down as well. Takai Simpkins, he's playing, but he does not look like full. Like you can tell, like he's not fully healthy. That he's looks like something's been bothering him. Um, Currently on the season, they have one top 100 win. For which was their first game of the season, and it was against Hawaii by 1 point on a game winner. And Hawaii was ranked 93rd on Ken Palm, and Oregon is currently ranked 106th on Ken Palm. Um, a lot of just bad basketball being played, and I think again a lot of it has to do with their offense, on how it's ran. Of it's not much sets. There's not much of there are some ball screens and stuff, but there's not like much actual like if you watch Purdue, there are so many sets that PJ runs that gets us a bucket, or just in general moves the ball around and all that. If you watch Oregon, there's a lot of just swinging it around the perimeter, and then late shot clock shots because they didn't attack the basket or didn't get shots. They don't shoot it at a high clip as a team. Yeah, they shoot 32% from three as a team, 42% from the field. So not anything that jumps out. The one thing that they are pretty good at is offensive rebounding, and a lot of that has to come from Sean Stewart and Kwame Evans. They are both solid offensive rebounders. What did I say? Kwame Evans averages 7.2 rebounds per game, and Stewart is averaging 5.7. I believe that is there. Yeah, those are the two highest rebounders. After that, they've got Takai Simpkins. He averages 2.9, and Desdrick Lindsay averages 3.1. But they are obviously their two biggest rebounders. They do control the glass pretty well. I said that they were good offensive rebounders. They're actually ranked 57th in the country for offensive rebounding. They rebounded at a 35% clip. So that's very impressive. And then I think part of the reason that they're good at that, Stewart, is he's listed at 6'8", or 6'9", I believe, but he's athletic. His numbers don't jump off the chart. He's like averages 7.1 points, 5.7 rebounds, but yeah, he's just very athletic of a player, and he's I don't know. I don't know how to explain this. He had a game. He had a good game against Michigan, I believe, if I'm not correct. Yeah, 22 points, and 8 rebounds. 22 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal. He did have 4 fouls though, and 3 turnovers. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem with this team whatsoever. In no world should we have one. I do believe that if we don't play to, how do you say that? If we don't play the way that we should be playing, or the level of defensive ability that we should be playing to, it is very likely that Evans has a good game, as he is their complete offense. And if our defense inside isn't good, I mean, it's likely that Evans and Stewart could both have a good game. But you do look at Stewart's stats, and outside of that Michigan game, he doesn't it doesn't jump off the chart. Actually, his last game against Iowa, he literally had 1 point in 27 minutes. So, but he had 8 rebounds. So he's doing his job on the glass. So I think that's something that we need to take as an initiative to re-show dominance on the glass, as we did in the Maryland game. But that has been currently defense and rebounding has been a weakness. Obviously, if you look, especially when Fletcher's hitting shots again, our offense is not the problem, right? We're second on Ken Palm for efficiency. our problem is defense, and I think obviously we know that. I mean, if you watch any game at all, you realize that our defense is the problem. But if we look at that first half of the season, at like before or yeah, leading up to the Indy Classic and a few games after that, we played well, right? We I think we're top. I think we're 26 right now in Ken Palm for defensive efficiency. Yeah, 26, which is at 98.7, which just means your defensive efficiency just means how many points a team would score if they were given 100 possessions. So it's not great. It's not great by any means, but it's not, really, really bad. It definitely has to improve if we want to get to the national championship. I think it's very doable with this team still. But yeah, I think a lot of this game just has to do with how we play their bigs, because if we look at their guard play, it's nothing good. Um, oh goodness, come back up. It's nothing that jumps off the charts. Like I said, Simpkins, he had a good game against UCLA. He's a 6'5" guard. He had 25 and 8 against UCLA, which, if we remember, right, we lost that game, right? We didn't play well against Donovan Dent and Tyler Bilodeau. That's a matchup for CJ. I think, CJ and Braden are both undersized guards. I think CJ's 6'2". But Takai Simpkins. Yeah, he's 6'5", so bigger body, only 180 pounds, but that's a bigger matchup for CJ. I don't think it's something he can't handle, but again, he is capable of having a good game. I think we have to control him and Kwame. I don't think, unless we just completely take a dump, I don't see this team competing with us. But you still want to see, these players can have good games, right? And it's shown against UCLA and Michigan for both of those players. Those are both good teams, right? But we don't want to see them have a good game like that against us, because we want to see that our defense is coming along. Even against a bad team like this, we want to see it prepared and ready, going into a game like Nebraska, where we're going to have our hands full. We want to see that we can stop a team like this and completely shut them down, not have players go off and have good games, and then go into a Nebraska game showing that our defense is legit, or at least can hang. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say for Oregon, besides that they're bad. I guess a little bit to say for us as a team is, I think we just want to see the offense continue to roll the way it has been. But again, like I was saying, defensively, we want to see our guys in the right position, better communication, which we saw in the Maryland game as well. We just want to see that those defensive positioning and communication being in the right spot. We want to see that continue, especially against a bad team like this. If we can't do that against a bad team, how are we supposed to do that against a good team? So we got to see that top notch in the right spots, forcing bad shots, stuff like that. Because when we do go into those bigger games, our defense is going to be what changes the game. It is what's going to decide if we win or lose a game, right? Our offense can obviously hang. Second on KenPom ratings for efficiency. We can play offense, right? We make shots. We can score. But it doesn't matter if we can't stop anybody on the defensive end. So really, we just want to see that to continue to get better. And in the Maryland game, we saw it, and we're just hoping again to see it again in the Oregon game, carrying into these bigger games that we have coming up. I think it can be a huge game for Braden. I think it's a great game for him to have a high assist game. Last game he had 6. For him to chase that record, that number's got to keep going up, right? He's got to have some games where he's got, high assist games, and even his low assist games can't be like 4 or 5, right? We need him to be like 7. Um, but yeah, I think kind of a little prediction for Braden. I think he probably has like 18 and 13. We did see him not play as much. He had 27 minutes against Maryland. Um, but we had a week to prepare for this game, hoping everybody's rested and ready to, go. But at the same time, if we get up by big at a certain time, which we should, it is likely that we see our starters sit. Going into a game where we have to play Nebraska, want to have them completely ready for that game. But I think it is a game where we see our stars show up. But I think, again, we want to see our bench kind of have a similar game to they did last game, where everybody just has a pretty solid night. Like Jakari had 12. We want to see that continue of hitting open shots, getting to the basket, making the right play. Actually, I watched the if you guys haven't watched it yet, but the Running Point podcast with Greg and Carter from Sleepers Media, they had, obviously Braden is on it as well. That is their podcast that they do together. They had PJ Thompson on there today, and he said something interesting that now that I heard it, it makes sense. CJ and Jakari are definitely, like, they can go get buckets, but they are, he called them selective aggression, or aggressive, just meaning like, in a situation where they don't need to go get a bucket, they make the right play, they, swing the ball, that, that's typically their role. They understand their role of, hey, I gotta get to the next guy, I'm gonna hit my open shots, right? But they have that ability to go and score or go and get one for themselves. They just select when to do it, when they need to do it. They make the right play. And I mean, after I heard that, I was like, yeah, you see that a lot out of CJ. Maybe a little less out of Jakari sometimes. I do think sometimes he does get a little, depending on the situation. Um, there has been times where I'm just like, hey, you, calm down. He's getting a little um, on his drives to the basket, which you know I love to see the aggression, go get a basket, but some of the times it just seems a little out of control. Um, but yeah, I think it's a game where we just want to see our bench continue to play well as well. But just overall, hoping to see a good game. We hope that Fletch has continued to stay out of this slump after the last game, hoping that's here to stay. Which I do see that I do see that this is on the rise of that, and that we are going to see the Fletch we know back. I don't know. I think also I just want to see Benner hit a few shots. Last game he was 0 for 3, which isn't anything awful, because before that he had been playing well. But just to get confidence going in, we want everybody to have confidence leaving this game, because we go in and play Nebraska at Nebraska, and that's not PJ also said it on the podcast. That is not an easy place to play. That people tend to not give that place credit on being hard to play in, but it's not an easy place to play, and especially with how they've been playing recently. Obviously, they've lost 2 here recently, but they're not a team to overlook. They are still like 20-2, so a tough team. We're gonna have our hands full in that. So we want to leave this Oregon game with confidence, with everybody firing on all cylinders. I think we need to show our dominance on the rebounding. Like I said, that they've got 2 really good rebounders. We want to leave this game showing that we out-rebounded them, but that we were able to hold those guys to not allow them to get easy rebounds. Again, we just want to see Clough bounce back and have a high rebounding game. I'm hoping to see him in double digits. We just got to see him rebounding at a high clip again. That's his main role on this team. Obviously, I want to see him get a bucket. I want to see him score, but we need to get him back on the boards because that's where he's most valued on this team. Besides that, I really don't have much more to say. I said this was going to be probably a shorter video. There's not much to say. There's not much to this Oregon team. I do hope that, again, we blow them out of the water like we did Maryland, but I wouldn't be surprised if our stars don't play a lot in the second half if it looks similar to the way the Maryland game did. Just that way, they're healthy, ready to go into the Nebraska game. I'm going to throw out a prediction. I'm hoping like 97-65. This is in Mackey. This is one of 5 games left in Mackey for our seniors, for Trey, Braden, and Fletcher. Right now, Clough, but it is said that he potentially will get a 5th year. So, I think his hearing for that is the 10th, I believe, of February. So, that's, Tuesday or something like that. So, that could be big news for next year, but let's focus on the now, right? So, hoping to start this 5-game, our stretch back at home, hoping to start that with a win for our seniors and just for our confidence going into these next few games. So, thanks for stopping. Wow, I can't talk in these last 2 videos. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for supporting it. I've really enjoyed this. Still trying to figure out the monitor and everything. I'm struggling with the sound right now, so I haven't been able to record on it yet. But hoping to get that figured out soon, just to get things rolling. So thank you guys for supporting, and stay tuned for the recap.